It's the high school football game of the week.
Listen, man, tonight is the night to make a name for yourself.
Not one, but two of the best games in the Triad every Friday.
All comes down to today.
Catch the action on WTOB 980 AM and 96.7 FM.
Who got my man? I got your man.
Or tune in to our second game on WCOG 1320 AM. Both games powered by TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, your home for Triad sports.
Out of the hold of Mesco. Good snap. Good hold. And the kick is blocked. Appalachian State has stunned the college football world. One of the greatest upsets in sports history. The pitch. Swing a long one. We are going to game number 7. A game-winning home run. He steps into it. Pass is caught. Diggs, sideline, touchdown, unbelievable, Vikings win it. Lillard, long range three, and it's good, at the buzzer, Damian Lillard, are you kidding me?
Welcome to The Score. Here's your host, Brett Wiseman.
Oh, it's a beautiful Friday for high school football. We got a ton of it for you later on this evening here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio. But more importantly, before we get to any other important business, there's an important man in the top right-hand corner of your screen. That's North Carolina sports radio legend and writer for chapelboro.com. That's David Glenn. He's here to talk UNC football with myself, Christian Emery, and our producer, Desmond Johnson. DG, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Brett. It's great to be with you. Good to see Des again and Christian as well. Always happy to talk football, especially that the games are almost here.
The games are almost here, and probably the biggest one. I see Kid Brewer Stadium Showdown on your shirt there. It's a little bit back in the day. Oh, no, we don't want to remember that one too much. There's a bigger
DG, so
there's a bigger one than that that's coming up here in about 2 weeks. Involving those same Carolina Tar Heels and those same Appalachian State Mountaineers. First, DG, tell us about this quarterback debate that's ongoing right now throughout camp and almost certainly would be decided not necessarily for the entire season, but at least who's going to start that App State game after Florida A&M next week.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of an alarming time for Carolina because they just had the best quarterback in the history of the school for the last 3 years, and they only managed to barely play above 500 football with Sam Howell over the last 3 years. So where do things stand now? You can't expect either Drake May or Jacoby Criswell to be anywhere near that level, at least not at the very beginning of their starting career. It sounds like the Carolina offensive coordinator, Phil Longo, actually likes Criswell's arm a little bit better. He's only about 6 feet tall. He was an ESPN 300 guy out of Arkansas a couple years ago, but he does have a very strong arm. And as odd as it might sound, Drake May, who's about 6'5", he gets credit for being able to extend plays better and just improvise a little bit. So it's not what you'd expect. Usually you'd think the 6 foot guy is the improviser, and the 6'5" guy might be more of a pocket passer. Drake May is not going to win any 100-meter dashes, but he's certainly a very good multi-sport athlete back to his high school days. My guess is that Drake May is the guy, and that's a flashback for me personally because when I was a really young guy, someone named Mark May was the starting quarterback for the North Carolina Tar Heels, and of course that is Drake's dad.
And, of course, we know who Drake's brother is, too. Hit one of the biggest shots in Carolina basketball history, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. Des is excited about any mention of that ever. But, Drake transferring over from Alabama, it doesn't seem like the coaching staff gave him a leg up because of that. And it seems like Criswell has gotten just as fair a shot. It seems like both guys have a lot of good things to provide. This is going to be a tough decision.
I think so. And it really traces to what Mack Brown said was his own biggest mistake last year. According to Mack Brown, he had the right culture in Chapel Hill in his first and second year. It's not like the Tar Heels, took over the world, but they did very well in his first year compared to expectations. They had a decent second year. And obviously last year was extremely disappointing to finish with a losing record when that greatest quarterback in school history was a junior and setting all sorts of records. Mack Brown says that one of his biggest mistakes was not resting on his laurels, but not leaving enough playing time up for grabs. He thought the past summer, 2021, there were just too many guys who knew they were going to play and not enough guys who tried to compete every day as if their proverbial life depended on it. So he's trying to flip that. And of course, the quarterback position is the most symbolic of that. Here we are, 8 days or 7 days away from the opener against Florida A&M. And both Mack Brown and Phil Longo have gone out of their way to make sure they mention both Drake May and Jacoby Criswell whenever they're asked about the quarterback position. And Phil Longo even added that I think he said 3 times in his very long career, he has played 2 quarterbacks in the same season. And he said, in his opinion, you don't play 2 quarterbacks, at least in his case, he didn't play 2 quarterbacks because he didn't have one that was good enough to win the job. He felt like there were rare occasions he had 2 quarterbacks with different skill sets that were just both good enough to play and maybe give opposing defensive coordinators headaches along the way because they have 2 different types of guys to prepare for. We'll see how that plays out. My money is on Drake May to become the starter, maybe right out of the gate, but I wouldn't be surprised if both guys played against Florida A&M.
I think both guys will play because the way I'm looking at this is sort of as a de facto NFL-style preseason game, in that both guys are going to get an opportunity, and it's not just at the quarterback position. I think this game sets up for, like you said, they want to create competition at multiple positions. This creates an opportunity for guys to maybe win a position battle that they've been trying to win throughout camp.
I think you're right, Brett. And the reality right now is that Carolina has a better idea of who it is on defense right now. They love the fact that Gene Chizik is back in town. During the Larry Fedora era, they were rarely good on defense. But when they were, Gene Chizik was the guy calling the shots. So he's back in college football after some broadcasting time, after some family time. And he's a big believer in simplifying things. The old quote of a lot of coaches is, on defense, if you think, you stink. And Chizik is all about minimizing thinking and just being repetitive in practice so that you're just ready to execute a less complicated playbook, if you will. But even personnel-wise, other than Josh Downs on offense, who obviously is one of the best wide receivers in the ACC, you have the quarterback question we've already mentioned. You have 5 different running backs trying to earn playing time, with the most experienced of those, British Brooks, already injured and unavailable for the early part of the season. Behind Josh Downs, you have the next best receiver, Greene, also injured. So you have 4 or 5 guys competing for time there. And the Tar Heels haven't had a great offensive line in a while, and they're trying to mix in a couple of transfers with some returning starters. I'm not sure there is a unit right now for Carolina's offense where you can say, yeah, the Heels are going to be really, really good at that spot on the depth chart. Again, they have more confidence, I think, right now on their experience and talent on the defensive side of the ball. So my guess is that's going to have to be the Heels' anchor early as those positional battles and those playing time battles you mentioned unfold, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
As far as the offensive side goes, with Greene being out, I think there was an update I saw he might return against Notre Dame, which is, I think, sometime in late September. Who are some of the guys who you think could step up and help replace because in the offense, I think he was going to be the long ball threat. Is there anybody who you're keeping an eye on who could replace him potentially?
Yeah, Christian, this is one of those classic examples where some guys have more experience and they just know the playbook, and they've even had some time working with Drake May and Jacoby Criswell. But perhaps the most talented guy, obviously other than Josh Downs, who we already mentioned, there's a freshman named Andre Greene Jr. Now, is he talented enough to play at the ACC level? Absolutely, positively, no doubt about it, yes. Does he know the playbook? Does he have time enough to build chemistry with the quarterbacks? Is he tough enough? You just don't know with most freshmen. And I think that applies to him. At some point, they think Andre Greene Jr., same last name as the injured Antoine Green, although I think they spell it differently. So no headaches for the announcers up in the press box, at least on the back of the jersey. So, yeah, there's talent. Justin Olson is a guy who's been around for a long time. J.J. Jones, again, has been around. And they will, as you said, get Antoine Green back eventually. But I'd keep an eye on a guy like Andre Green at wide receiver. They have young running backs. A guy named George Pettaway is probably their best receiving threat out of the backfield, but he might be fourth on the depth chart. So is he going to play a lot? Can he block in pass protection to go with those receiving skills? Caleb Hood is a power runner who was injured last year and missed some time. Is he ready to be the go-to guy? There's yet another Green, Elijah Green, in that running back mix as well. So whereas, May and Criswell are getting most of the headlines at the quarterback position, in my opinion, for the Heels to be good this year, they're going to have some not yet famous names start to become famous. Again, Josh Downs is the proven commodity. They need other dudes to show that maybe they live up to their 4-star, 5-star ranking. And the most unpredictable variables usually in college football are those mega talented freshmen where you can see their talent. There's no doubt about it. But again, that doesn't mean they're going to run the right play. That doesn't mean they know how to block. Sometimes there's some missing links, and sometimes it's just a lack of physical maturity that prevents them at the very beginning from really maximizing their potential.
And so I feel – sorry, Christian, go ahead.
Okay. Just the two gems of this UNC's recruiting class were the 2 5-star offensive linemen. Do you think both of them are going to end up starting, just one of them? How do you see the offensive line playing out?
It's really hard to start as an offensive lineman. The guy, Zach Rice, might be one of those you're referring to, and he's even a left tackle, which is the hardest spot to fill at most levels of football on the offensive line. He's clearly going to play even as a true freshman. But I think the reason they brought in 2 transfers, their starting center might be Corey Gaynor of Miami, transfer from Miami, and at least potentially one of their starting tackles is going to be a guy named Spencer Rowland, who transferred from Harvard. So Zach Rice is going to play. I know on the defensive line, they also have a true freshman. His name is Travis Shaw.
That's the other one I was referring to.
Okay, so he's on the defensive. That guy is like 6'5", 350, and he's an athlete. So even if he doesn't know the playbook yet, there's certain things he can do at 6'5", 350. So I have a feeling Gene Chizik will carve out a role for that big fella. But that gets back to the theme I mentioned a second ago. I don't think the Heels are talented enough or deep enough to just say, hey, our juniors and seniors, our proven commodities are going to lead us to a winning ACC record or another bowl game. I think for the Heels to do what they want to do and be where they want to be, those newer names that you're talking about, they don't all have to start, but a lot of them have to play if the Heels are going to be better than just, a 6-6 type season.
And I think a lot of those guys would have to contribute too. That's the important thing, is make the most of their opportunities when they're out there.
Yeah, and especially nowadays, whereas 4 years ago we'd have been having this newcomer conversation mostly surrounding 4- and 5-star high school recruits, maybe the occasional junior college guy.
And those guys would get redshirted 95% of the time.
Back then, yeah. Nowadays, the newcomer conversation always has to be expanded to the transfer portal.
Exactly.
Because for so many years, you had to wait that 1-year sit-out period. You might have been excited about some incoming transfer, but 90-some% of them had to have that sit-out year. Well, that sit-out year is gone. So if you look at the Carolina depth chart right now, there's a guy, Noah Taylor was a very good linebacker at the University of Virginia, and he's probably going to be one of the Heels starting linebackers. They love Cedric Gray at the other linebacker. They like Power Echols, a young stud in the middle. So Noah Taylor, there's a new face, but he's an old new face. He's been around the block. He knows the ACC. Heck, he's played against the Tar Heels, right? So those two guys I mentioned on the offensive line might be starters, but they're grad transfers. That means they're 22, 23, sometimes 24 years old. I know that they have a guy in the secondary as well who might play at one of the cornerback positions. Lazan Cavazos is a cornerback from Ohio State. So I know Noah Taylor's going to play. I know those offensive line transfers are going to matter. But, yeah, you do have to sprinkle in maybe a George Pettaway at running back as a freshman, probably a Zach Rice on the offensive line as a freshman, probably the Travis Shaw we mentioned on the defensive line as a freshman. But that immediate impact newcomer category, it has really shifted in recent years, and now it's just those older guys that happen to be wearing a different uniform nowadays.
And I was just wondering, we talked to Adam Winton about the challenges that UNC is going to present to App. What kind of challenges do you think App is going to be able to present to UNC, given they're more of an experienced team on, for the most part, both sides of the football?
Yeah, and especially offense to me, Christian, because here we are talking about the Tar Heels question marks at quarterback, while App State knows that Chase Bryce is their guy. And not only was he their starter last year, in my opinion, he was a much better player in the second half of last year than he was in the first half of last year, which maybe he can just build on that momentum. He was not a very good quarterback for the Duke Blue Devils, and he was buried on the depth chart at Clemson prior to that. At the beginning of his App State career, not great. By the end of last season, pretty darn good. So App State knows its answer at quarterback as the Tar Heels are trying to figure out their answer. At running back, the Tar Heels have this four-headed monster they're trying to figure out. App State already has two guys that collectively, I think, ran for 2,000 yards last year. So there's an answer at another very important position. They have four offensive line starters back, so that's not the question there that it is a little bit in Chapel Hill. I think DeMarco Jackson leaving is a big deal. When you're best, maybe one of the best players, maybe the best player in the entire Sun Belt Conference, when he leaves, he just wreaked havoc, right? I mean, I remember when App State went to Chapel Hill and beat Carolina 3 years ago. And please note that Christian is smiling as I answer this question and make that reference. To my recollection, maybe the biggest play of the game. Wasn't it Demetrius Jackson with the strip sack?
Yes.
That was Demetrius Taylor. Yeah.
Thank you. Demetrius Taylor with the strip sack.
Well, both of those guys are gone and in the NFL now. Demetrius Taylor's making headway on Hard Knocks right now with the Detroit Lions.
It's amazing. The App State culture has been so good for so long in football, from FCS to FBS. It's hard to believe that's, 8 years ago now, that transition. Right. But, App State proved that it was as good as Carolina. I mean, that game, the Heels had more yards, the Heels had more first downs, but App State belonged on the same field and made the bigger plays and won the turnover battle and scored on defense. And the reason I bring that up is App State, I think, will have a harder time with that formula. I don't think they have that Demetrius Taylor type guy yet. At least not in the front four. So the Mountaineers probably will have to lean on that offense if they're going to post back-to-back victories over the Tar Heels.
Wow. I don't think that's a statement anybody thought they would say even 3 or 4 years ago. But DG, very quickly, give me 3 strengths and 3 weaknesses for Carolina going into A&M and then App State.
Yeah, strengths, Josh Downs at wide receiver is one of the best in the league, no doubt about it. Strength, Gene Chizik returning at defensive coordinator. He has a way with young people. He's proven it in Chapel Hill. He was a national champion as a head coach at Auburn. I think that's a really big deal. And another strength I'd say also comes on defense. Miles Murphy is an all-ACC caliber defensive lineman. Cedric Gray, in my opinion, is an all-ACC linebacker waiting to happen. Tony Grimes is an all-ACC caliber defensive back. So we haven't used that defense first theme in Chapel Hill very often lately, but I think that's going to have to be the theme for Mack Brown here in year 4 now of part 2 of his tenure. In terms of weaknesses, I think it's just all those new faces on the offensive side of the ball. If you don't know who's your go-to running back, this is a school that used to decide, should we give it to Javonte Williams or should we give it to Michael Carter? It was like an embarrassment of riches. Those guys were ridiculous. Now they're not sure if they have 1 or 2 or 3 or 0 of that caliber. So if you're not sure about a remixed offensive line, you're not sure about a 4-headed monster at tailback, and you're breaking in a new starting quarterback, to me, that's probably check mark 1, check mark 2, check mark 3. In terms of potential weaknesses on the offensive side of the ball.
And can I just add one thing?
Yeah.
So, DG, I know you have an affiliation with both schools. You had several app interns over your career on,
Yep.
And then you've have affiliations with Chapel Hill. Who are you going to pick to win the game?
Gosh, I haven't thought that far ahead yet. I'd like to see the Tar Heels play. You know, we're all bad enough at prognostication, even
True.
when we have more information
Right.
to go on. I think we're worse at the beginning of the year, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, if the game was in Chapel Hill, I'd probably pick the Tar Heels, and I might still pick the Tar Heels. I guess we won't. Will we have a look at App State prior to that matchup?
No,
We will not.
Right?
They will not have a week 0 game.
If you made me pick right now, I would take the Mountaineers at home. But I reserve the right to change that. And
Yes.
You're right, Christian. Not only do I have a great affection for App State, in part because of you, and seriously, my lineup of interns, if I ranked them by school, App State would win either the gold, the silver, or the bronze medal. They're that good. By the way, my daughter Avery is a junior at App State as we speak. So perhaps I should pick the Mountaineers just for father-daughter relations purposes.
Getting ready to say, just to save face in that regard.
I don't want her freezing me out for her junior year of college. She's off campus for the first time. She has a car in Boone for the first time. That's not a young woman that you want to alienate with a preseason football pick.
Driving in Boone is anxiety-driven enough.
I was there this weekend, I know.
Driving in Boone when this game comes to town is going to be even worse.
Being the father of a teenage driver who has a car at college for the first time is a nerve-wracking experience. I can promise you that.
And Brett, like I told you, I was in Boone. I just got back a couple hours ago. The freshmen moving, that's nothing compared to what we're going to see in a couple weeks.
No. We
Yes.
talked to Adam Witten about this last week. The town, the school, the Chamber of Commerce, which means David Jackson is running about 18 different directions at the moment as the head of the Chamber of Commerce. So everybody's got their hands in a bunch of different pots trying to figure out where in the heck we're going to park 40,000 people on this campus where we're tearing down dorms and we're rebuilding dorms and we're building parking. It's a mess. But the point is the game is going to be fantastic, and I think it's going to be one of the better games, not just in the area, but one of the better games in the country week 1. David Glenn of chapelboro.com, North Carolina sports radio legend. Thank you for gracing the score with your presence this afternoon.
A lot of fun, Brett. Good to be with you. Christian, good to see you again. Des, keep up the good work. Enjoy the games.
When we come back, the aforementioned Desmond Johnson will break down tonight's Carolina Panthers Week 2 preseasoner with the New England Patriots. Now that they have, unofficially, their starting quarterback, what does that mean for reps for everyone else? We'll find out after this.
You were listening to The Score with Brett Wiseman on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
Hey y'all, Tiny's Mobile Auto. Is your car broke down? Are you stuck somewhere? Do you need a mechanic? You don't want to call a tow truck? Call Tiny's Mobile Auto. He'll come out to you, do your work, whatever you need done, your regular maintenance, or if you broke down on the side of the road, give him a call. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call 336-423-6241. You don't even have to see me. Just let me know what's wrong with your car and I will come and fix it, y'all. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, I'm on the Twitters, whatever you guys need, 336-423-6241. As always, I'll be seeing you.
Hey, Pops, where you want to go eat tonight?
I'm going to go get me some good Southern cooking at Ball Brothers down by the airport in Winston.
No, Pops, it's Bell Brothers, and they closed years ago. It's Taste of the Dryad now.
Taste of the Triad? Is it in the old Ball Brothers building?
Yup,
Can I still get baked chicken and collard greens?
sure can.
How about neck bones, meatloaf, and pork chops?
Taste of the Triad has all that.
So they ain't got pinto beans, tater salad, mac and cheese, or fried okra?
Pops, they have all that, plus homemade cakes and cobblers and sweet potato pie.
Well, then I don't care what they call it. Let's go eat.
Taste of the Triad. Open daily for lunch with $5.99 specials from 11 to 2 and chef specials daily. Don't miss the Saturday brunch from 9 to 1 and the soulful Sunday dinner when you come out of church full of the word, but hungry for Southern comfort food. Taste of the Triad in the old Bell Brothers building at Old Walkertown Road and North Liberty in Winston-Salem.
That's good Southern cooking.
Welcome to J. Pepper's Southern Grill, locally owned and operated, serving the Kernersville community for over 10 years. Delicious homemade Southern food with a menu with a little something for everyone. For daily lunch and dinner specials, you can't go wrong choosing J. Pepper's, home of The Nest with East Forsyth head coach Todd Willard every Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. live during the season. Plus Wine Wednesday with half-price wine all day and live music every Thursday night. Come join the fun at J. Pepper's Southern Grill, 841 Old Winston Road in Kernersville. Call in your order now at 336-497-4727.
You deserve to get good service and great rates. At State Farm, we get it. And we're here to help because with every State Farm policy, you get good neighbor service and you get surprisingly great rates. So what are you waiting for? Get going and talk to a local State Farm agent about your surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
When you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Susanna Nunn in Kernersville today.
Beamer Tire and Auto Repair, now with 3 locations across the Triad in High Point, Greensboro, and our new location in Kernersville. Beamer Tire and Auto offers full-service auto repair, all tire brands, free alignment checks, oil changes, and more. In Kernersville, check out the no appointment needed Quick Lube shop. Check out their thousands of 5-star ratings via Google and Yelp. They care because they know that you can go anywhere. So try a shop with a beating heart, not a bottom line. Beamer Tire and Auto Repair. Visit us on Facebook or at beamertire.com.
You are locked into Tobacco Road Sports Radio, your home for Triad Sports.
And you know this, man.
Welcome back to The Score with Brett Wiseman here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
That's perfect music for a high school football Friday, isn't it, Desmond Johnson? We got some good stuff cooked up tonight over in what's going to be a rainy K Vegas. Glenn and the boys from Fayetteville, Terry Sanford, will have that on WTOB. Myself and JP Mundy will be jetting over underneath the water tower to call that one for you all this evening. Meanwhile, in Charlotte, the Carolina Panthers. I'm not going to do the growl this time. I'm going to save everybody the embarrassment.
Don't do that.
We have the sound effect somewhere, but
can you have that on loop?
What, me doing it or the actual growl?
You doing it, because that was hilarious.
No. Nope.
I want to hear it.
There it is. Yeah. Feel like I'm listening to Rock 92 right now, and Mick Mixon's going to bust through the window like the Kool-Aid man.
Anish did great. I listened to the radio broadcast of.
Anish was fantastic.
Yeah, I wanted to hear the radio broadcast so I could kind of get back into the rhythm of a radio call as opposed to a TV call. And I thought he did an excellent job. I listened to it most of the day on Saturday while I was out running around. So.
Yeah, we were out running errands pretty much most of the day early on Saturday. I had it on here and there on our friends at Rock 92. Still not the best morning show in the Triad, but that's neither here nor there.
Hey.
Well, I'm biased in that department, but again, we'll leave that for what it is.
We're all friends.
We're all good friends in this business.
All buddies. That's right.
We're all nice to each other. Yeah, Anish did good. Who else did good? Baker Mayfield. In fact, he probably won the job on Saturday.
Yeah, I think he did. Actually, to be honest, I don't think it was really to the media. They've been putting it out as if it's a competition, but I don't think it was ever a quarterback competition. It was just going to be a matter of how quickly could Baker Mayfield acclimate himself to the playbook? And if you've been paying attention to Baker Mayfield's career, he's basically had to learn a new offense for the 5 years that he's been in the league, because he's had a new offensive coordinator every year in Cleveland or a new head coach. So this was nothing to him to have to learn yet another playbook. And honestly, Sam Darnold has probably helped him in terms of learning it faster. I see Matt Corral kind of gravitating towards Baker Mayfield. They walk out on the field together. They come off together. So it feels like there's kind of a mentor thing starting with that, which I really like. Having said all that, PJ Walker's been slated to start tonight's game against the Patriots, which I did not. I don't
think anybody saw that coming.
Yeah, I don't think Baker's going to play today. I don't think Sam might play a little bit, maybe second quarter or third quarter, but it feels like they're trying to get tape on PJ so that when they inevitably cut him or try to stash him on practice squad, maybe they can get something, or maybe he can land in a better situation. But
you could definitely trade him for sure if he shows
I don't
out.
know. Depends on who's got some spots open. Like with Cleveland,
Yeah, was the one that came to mind.
Or Seattle, would Seattle want PJ Walker? Because I'm thinking,
I don't know, Alex. Do you want PJ Walker?
No.
He's a below 50% completion passer. He's 2-0 in a Panther uniform, but the defense won both of those games. So
let's see. If you have to pick between PJ Walker and Drew Lock,
that's what I was
Drew
about
Lock,
to say.
100%.
Exactly.
PJ's good. PJ's good between the red zones. He can get your team from the 20 to the 20, but once he gets near the red zone, they just cannot score. Like I don't know
Just
what
run
it
the ball.
is. Just run
One
the ball.
thing, Des, I did see.
That would be dependent on Christian McCaffrey being in one piece.
Yeah.
This is, I don't know if you guys have saw this. This is from Jeremy Fowler on Twitter that PJ will play I believe the second and fourth quarter. Or I might have it switched up, second and fourth quarter, and then Matt Corral gets first and third. I think I have that switched
That might be
around.
switched, yeah.
Yeah,
so
but
PJ's going to play first and third, and Corral will play second and fourth, which means Sam Darnold, you have lost your starting position because they're not even giving you a chance to go out in the field to win it at this point. And
Nobody's surprised.
And it sounds like by the time the Believe in Panthers podcast goes out early next week, that Baker Mayfield will officially be named the starter. And I'm hoping it's Panthers.com that announces it instead of, David Newton or somebody else, because if you're in top of the news feed for something like this, it kind of makes sense to let the team break the news as opposed to a reporter or someone. You have a media department. Let Panthers.com break it. We all kind of know what's coming, so let's just get it out of the way. Yep. I don't expect any of these starters really to play week 3. I heard the reverse, that people were treating week 3 as if it's like the regular game or whatever, because then you get 2 weeks before the regular season. I don't think Matt Rule's going to risk injury to Baker Mayfield or DJ Moore or Christian McCaffrey, God forbid, or Brian Burns or any of these guys. Like, there's no reason to play him. Like, they got enough fighting in.
And in this new age preseason, it used to be that week 3 was the quote-unquote week 0 game, as there is in college football. Now with 3 preseason games, week 2 becomes that biggest of regular season primers for every team, not just Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, or you can do like Matt Rule has said and Coach Belichick, where they feel like they've gotten the majority of the reps for the ones in these joint practices over the past week, and there's no reason to risk them playing at all on Friday. It's gotten to the point where preseason is just a money grab for owners. That's all it is. There's really nothing. I can't think of a team that's got more than 5 or 6 slots at the back end of their roster that they're using preseason for to figure out who those guys are and their practice squad players. Like, most of these teams are too deep already. They already know who their starters are, offense and defense. They know who the backups are. There might be some position battles, but a preseason game is not going to decide that. They're playing against second, third, and fourth string guys. So I was hearing how last week, for example, Matt Corral was running for his life pretty much in the second half in that preseason game. And people were like, oh, Matt Corral's not ready. He's not ready. He was playing behind dudes that are not going to be on this team in 10 days. Like, they're fourth string guys playing offensive line. None of the starters out there, none of his skill position starters out there. Like, he's literally playing with a junior college team out there. So you can't really gauge him in that scenario, but you can gauge him going up against the twos and the Patriots joint practices or something to that effect. So
and I think you'll be able to judge him better tonight when he's playing in.
He'll be playing against twos and probably some ones.
And the end of the first half, he'll probably be playing still against some of the first teamers, and then the end of the game, he'll probably be playing against second and third teamers. He's not going up against the 2 deep of the 2 deep.
My question is, though, if let's just say that Baker is announced the starter by next week or within a week and a half, whatever it is, do the Panthers then release Sam Darnold? Do they take on that dead cap space that his contract has? What do they then do with him? Because Matt Corral does have a bright future and a very good floor as a rookie quarterback.
They're not going to cut Sam Darnold, because if they cut him, they still got to pay him the $18 million. So what's the point? You know, and they just went through all of this with the Browns to get a reduced salary for Baker to come over. It would completely fudge the entire reasoning for getting the discount on Baker if they just cut Sam Darnold and still pay the $18 million of it. He'll just be one of the highest paid backup quarterbacks in the league this year, and hopefully we won't have to see him. Matt Corral will be on this team as the third string quarterback and will be basically shelved this year so he can learn, which I like, because based on whatever happens this year, you can go a number of different routes and your money opens up. With Baker being a free agent, Sam Darnold would be out of here. So you're freeing up $25+ million right there. Corral's on a rookie deal. And PJ Walker, knowing Matt Rule, he wants to keep him and put him on practice squad because just you never know with injuries and whatnot. And he's familiar with the offense. But to you guys' point, or Michael said it earlier, they might find a suitor for PJ. I would have thought it would have happened already if they were going to trade for PJ. But I would assume the Panthers' plan is to stick Walker on the practice squad. It's the reason why he's still here. Otherwise, they would have cut him 2 weeks ago when they brought in Mayfield. But to keep him here tells me that they still want to cling to him. I just don't know if they'll be able to.
It's either Darnold or Walker who's going to be traded, I believe, especially if we get one of these quarterbacks, maybe week 2 or 3, who gets hurt through the year.
Well, nobody wants Darnold. That's the thing. I mean,
if that happens, though, if let's just say like sort of the Baker Mayfield, pretty much the same exact scenario, he didn't really have that big trade market, and Carolina only had to give up a 5th or a 6th round pick for him. Maybe that would be the same exact scenario with Sam Darnold. You give him up and you just get one of those late draft picks for him.
But basically, what you gave up for Baker is what you get back for Sam.
But again, who's going to do that? Nobody wants Sam Darnold. Like we keep skipping over, like Sam Darnold is trash. Nobody wants him. So
he is trash.
I mean, they've been trying to stop him for the past month and have gotten 0 bites on him. He's had 4 years of tape in the NFL and 2 different teams,
none of which have been exceptionally good.
None of them. And like he is what he is at this point. He might be a serviceable backup that can come in and finish a game, or a guy gets hurt, but you have to depend on Sam Darnold for more than a game or 2. I think we've kind of seen what he is. And that's why the Panthers did what they did. They traded up to get Matt Corral in the draft with Bill Belichick and the Patriots. While they were on the phone with Cleveland trying to figure out how to get Baker Mayfield, they still bring in Baker Mayfield anyway, which tells me Sam Darnold is not in their plans and they could not move him. Like there was no place that wanted him.
They're stuck with him.
Yeah. Now they shouldn't have gave him the extension last year after the first day of the draft. That was the biggest mistake I think Matt Rule's made since he's been here. But again, he knows the offense, so they'll keep him as the backup and hopefully he'll never see the field.
He'll just be a clipboard holding encouragement cheerleader supervisor.
Not everyone can be a star. Not everyone can be a starting quarterback. Not everyone can excel at everything. And I think Sam is kind of slowly coming to grips that maybe he's just not one of the top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL.
I think Sam is slowly coming to grips with the fact that the only top 5 pick that may be more mediocre than him is Ryan Leaf.
Oh, don't.
I'd throw Jamarcus Russell in there before I would Ryan Leaf.
No. Here's what I'm saying. In terms of worst top 5 quarterbacks ever, you have Jamarcus Russell, king, number 1, undisputed, champion of the world. Literally said it himself. Then you've got 50 feet of dog crap. Sam Darnold and Ryan Leaf are fighting underneath that dog crap for number 2 behind Jamarcus Russell.
The crazy thing is too, Sam Darnold physically has all the tools. I mean, he athletically, he's got the arm.
Until he sees ghosts.
Typical NFL quarterback. He just does these mental lapses with the football sometimes.
He sees ghosts.
And it's just so strange. So I get why they wanted him. They thought he could be a reclamation project. He's still young. He's 24. But we've seen enough of this.
Does he still even have that that window because he did play with, like Brett was saying, a Jets organization who was doomed to fail from the get-go, and now he was put in a situation with Carolina that
And
didn't
you see,
really
I
go
thought
well for
I
both
thought when that
sides.
trade was made, Alex, I thought when that trade was made, because I had said, I said it to you, I said it to Christian, I said it to Michael. This is when we were all still in college. I said, Sam Darnold just needs to go somewhere else. They've got to save him from Adam Gase. I was convinced that Adam Gase was the problem. He wasn't.
No,
both were problems. But
see, we didn't have an answer to that until we saw him in a different place. And when we saw him in a different place in Carolina, he was gifted the best running back in the league and 2,000-yard receivers. And at the time, in DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, they were both coming off 1,000-yard seasons. So yeah, the offensive line was a little suspect. So I'll give them a mulligan on that because they did ignore the offensive line last year. They realized that and have fixed that, I believe, this offseason. And that might have affected Sam. McCaffrey only playing 3 games, really. I know that affected him as well. But still, you can't do some of the things that he holds the ball way too long, which causes sacks, which causes turnovers. He panics. He throws it when he shouldn't. Like, there's certain things you just can't fix, like, immediately. And Sam Darnold is that. So I don't think we'll see Sam Darnold again the rest of the preseason, to be honest.
Yeah. And Brett, I sent you that picture of what the Vikings fans were saying on social media. You know it's bad when the Vikings backup is Sean Mannion and they don't even want Sam Darnold.
I don't even know who Sean Mannion is.
Oregon State, right?
There's Sean
Oregon
Mannion.
State.
Sean Mannion is a guy who has one career NFL start, and that was at Lambeau in Week 16, and the Packers were trying to clinch a first-round bye, and Sean Mannion threw for -5 yards and 4 interceptions and was sacked 12 times. I don't know. I lost count. He was running around like just. I honestly felt bad. I'm kidding. I didn't feel anything for him. I hate the Vikings. Anyways, tonight. It's cool.
Hey, I mean, Kellen Mond's impressing, but continue. Go ahead.
Yeah. Kellen Mond's a much better backup than Sean Mannion.
Yes, he is.
Kellen Mond went to a not dead conference school.
Don't diss Oregon State like that. Sean Mannion is a 3rd-round pick. Put some respect.
I'm sorry. I couldn't hear anything from the Pac-12 as they're currently deceased.
That was low.
Yeah.
He's not wrong, though.
This is the Pac-12. They're done. They're gone.
Can we have a moment of silence for the Pac-12?
All right, moment of silence for the Pac-12 and the Big 12. Thank you. Okay. As for tonight, Dez,
yes.
Can we? Although a prediction doesn't matter in a Week 2 preseason game, can we have one? Just because I want one.
It's so hard. I mean, I think the problem here is that both Bill Belichick and Matt Rule like winning preseason games. Matt Rule mentioned it last week. He's like, "Well, we were trying to win. That's why I
think Bill Belichick just likes winning at any. He'll beat his own son at checkers if it means winning.
I'm going to go with the Panthers just because I think that this past week I was talking to Skylar Callahan when we were doing the Believe in Panthers podcast, and we were discussing it where the Panthers felt like they had more juice in these joint practices. I know there's a lot of fights over the past 2 days.
Speaking of juice, before we get your prediction first, and then
But I was just going to say that a lot of those fights were started by Patriots players but finished by Panther players, and that you're starting to see some camaraderie that we hadn't seen the first 2 years of Matt Rule's reign here. And maybe the whole rule of 3 thing is actually accurate, that by year 3, Matt Rule turns these programs around. He did it at Baylor. He did it at Temple. This is year 3 here. The offensive line looks straight. The defense was 2nd overall last year. They're even better. McCaffrey's back. You fix the quarterback situation. Hopefully you got skill players. What's the excuse? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what am I looking at here that tells me they can't compete for a playoff spot?
Exactly.
In the NFC, where there's an extra playoff spot now and nobody knows where Tom Brady is. So like, maybe
Reddit is actually theorizing that he is filming for the Masked Singer. The Masked Singer.
That.
Same thing.
I did see that. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Which means, but that makes no sense because that doesn't even sound like Tom Brady. Why would he leave in the middle of training camp to do that? Like,
that doesn't sound like the super, I will win at all costs Tom Brady that he's going to go film for The Masked Singer.
Yeah, when he unretired,
He has how many rings?
Take 2 weeks off to go do The Masked Singer in the middle of preseason, and then come back and I'm only 45.
It's not like he needs preseason football anyway. I mean,
It's not like he needs training camp. Period. He's a robot.
He also doesn't need a coach because Arians didn't even have to coach him last year. His
Apparently.
words, not mine.
Yeah, apparently.
Todd Bowles is not even going to do anything.
I don't know if he's going to
He's
play.
just going to stand there and watch.
I honestly don't know if Tom Brady's going to play. Like, I'm sitting there just watching it like, I think he could retire again. I really do. I think he could retire.
Hey, Des, can I tell you something?
Yo.
Don't give me hope. Please don't give me hope.
Have you heard the theme song of The Rundown? Like, it's literally me pouring my heart out about how much I hate Tom Brady. Like, literally. Like, and that was from 5 years ago or 8 years ago or whatever it was. He's still here. He's still here. Like, I want him to go away. And
don't give anybody hope then. Just stop talking.
He did say he wanted to play till he's 45. Well, he got there. So
Well, he unretired at 45, and he hasn't played a snap, so watch. Here's what I think he'll have. He'll play one snap and then spike the football and then yell, "Let's go," and then pull an Antonio Brown, take his jersey, his shoulder pads off, throw him in the stands, and run off the field like the proud man he is. Unlike Mac Jones, which I thought this was, and we'll get in the break, I know we're late. I thought this was fake when I saw the tweet roll up. That Mac Jones threw a touchdown in a joint practice scrimmage, went up to Brian Burns and made a below-the-belt gesture.
That was fake. It was a troll account. Yeah.
Okay.
There was a couple
Which
of
part
ones.
did you think was fake? That he threw a touchdown or that he started a fight?
Yes. I thought the tweet was very fake, and it was.
It was, yeah.
But Brian Burns ended whatever fight happened, and yeah, okay. I knew that. I knew Mac Jones doesn't yell at anybody. He comes from Alabama. They don't yell at people there unless they get yelled at. They don't yell at other people. There's no trash talk at Alabama.
What? Alabama, and the state of Alabama doesn't trash talk? Is that what you
They're too nice a team for that. They're the goodest guys in college football.
I'll just go to break.
They're so nice, buttoned up kids. They never get in trouble, Des. They're the Crimson Tide. They're so good.
Okay,
They're
Paul.
such good-natured children. I'm being very sarcastic. I hate them so much. When we come back, we'll dive into the Deshaun Watson situation. And I'll stop talking like a 65-year-old native of Tuscaloosa after this.
Okay, curator.
You are listening to The Score with Brett Wiseman on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. It's the high school football game of the week.
Listen, man. Tonight is the night to make a name for yourself.
Not one, but two of the best games in the Triad every Friday.
All comes down to today.
Catch the action on WTOB 980 AM and 96.7 FM.
Who got my back? I got your back.
Or tune in to our second game on WCOG 1320 AM. Both games powered by TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, your home for Triad Sports. Walkertown Auto Sales. Look no further when shopping for your next vehicle. Located in the heart of the Triad at 3076 Walkertown View Drive in Walkertown, Walkertown Auto Sales specializes in affordable and reliable used cars, trucks, and SUVs. They offer financing with good credit, bad credit, or no credit, with interest rates as low as 3.9%. With knowledgeable employees that are always willing to go the extra mile, you'll drive away with the car of your dreams at Walkertown Auto Sales. Check out the entire online inventory now at WalkertownAutoSales.com.
Hey, y'all, Tiny's Mobile Auto. Is your car broke down? Are you stuck somewhere? Do you need a mechanic? Oh, you don't want to call a tow truck? Call Tiny's Mobile Auto. He'll come out to you, do your work, whatever you need done, your regular maintenance, or if you broke down on the side of the road, give him a call. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call 336-423-6241. You don't even have to see me. Just let me know what's wrong with your car, and I will come and fix it, y'all. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, I'm on the Twitters, whatever you guys need, 336-423-6241. As always, I'll be seeing you.
York Home Inspections provides a vast array of home inspection services right here in the heart of the Triad. Exterior, insulation, ventilation, structural, appliances, roofing, radon testing, pest inspections, electrical, plus HVAC, new construction inspections, annual maintenance, and more. Owner John Taylor York has been in business since 2012 and treats each inspection as if it's his own home. Schedule your appointment online with John at yorkhomeinspection94.com or call 336-442-8315. York Home Inspections. Quality home inspections.
Looking to tailgate this summer? Stop by One Stop on the Way. One Stop number 6, located just 1 mile west of East Forsyth at 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville. One Stop serves fresh fried chicken and our famous taters 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Feeding a crowd? Get 16 pieces of chicken and sides for just $27.99. Craving wings? Come try our new spicy breaded wings. Get a 5-wing meal with 6 taters and a roll for just $7.39. Now in regular hot ranch or spicy. One Stop number 6, 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville.
Blue Naples Pizzeria in Kernersville is now hiring. Come work for one of the best Italian restaurants in the Triad. Currently hiring dishwashers, cooks, front cashiers, and more. Great hours, great pay. Give them a call at 336-993-7707 or stop by and inquire at 1519 Union Cross Road in Kernersville. Start working this week. Blue Naples Pizza. Franchise players.
Welcome back. Sports Channel 8's Ben Swain. How you doing, man?
I love that you guys are doing what you're doing. I love that we're doing what we're doing because the local sports fan is really underserved in sports radio here in North Carolina. Being able to, Monday morning after the New Carolina game, being able to listen to local guys talk about the local game.
Franchise players. Every Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com and at 6 p.m. on WCOG 1320 AM and WTOV 988.
The choices you make for end-of-life care impact your entire family. Mountain Valley Hospice understands that. When my mother became ill, we counted on their in-home care and later their hospice home. Mama's caregivers became her friends. Their aftercare programs helped my father and me understand life going forward. It's a true blessing.
In-home care and 2 hospice homes to serve you. Contact Mountain Valley Hospice at mtnvalleyhospice.org.
Welcome back to The Score with Brett Wiseman here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
We're back here on The Score with Brett Wiseman on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. The Facebook, the Twitter, the YouTubes, the LinkedIn's, all them socials medias. We're on them, as is Alex Wober, as is our producer Desmond Johnson, and the newest member of, no, he's not a new member of Tobacco Road, but he has his own show now. That's a thing. Michael Davis. Holy cow, I feel like a proud father. You have a new show. That's right after this one. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I am super excited. And I think I texted you yesterday. My first ever appearance on The Score was October 22nd last year. And we're about 10 months to the day. And yeah, we have Out of Pocket with Michael Davis immediately following this show at 4 on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Desmond Johnson producing it. Gotta have the best. We had really good guests, Jackson Cordray. We had the SNIS Fantasy Football, Sports News and Zip. They are some of the best people, so transparent with their fantasy football content. And I'm really excited. It's going to be a great show. I'm excited.
I think you guys are going to love it. You're going to love Michael being able to talk more. You're going to love the guests that he has on, and you're going to love the style of program. If you like this show, you're going to love that one. Alex, as we round about the NFL, because we have to let you go here soon, I had to like what you saw out of your Seattle Seahawks last night.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. I would say, and I've watched pretty much every single preseason game so far, and the Seattle Seahawks and the Jacksonville Jaguars are the 2 worst teams I've seen play. And as a Seattle sports fan, I'm biased a lot of the times, but in this scenario, I have to be true to my opinions. And they look terrible. And I think many Seattle Seahawks fans knew that coming into the season, that it's not a rebuild, as they like to say. It's a fresh start, which is pretty much.
That almost sounds worse.
It sounds just like rebuild in my head, but whatever keeps them happy over there. Drew Lock didn't play. That's just because he is on COVID list right now, but it's the smartest move we could have done, because we made Geno Smith start last night, and it pretty much made the case pretty clear that Drew Lock's going to be the starter week 1. I would be very surprised if Geno Smith starts. I think that would be in the terrible direction. But if they want CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, go for that.
Your options are very limited right now.
Yes.
That is rough.
Your options are currently a dumpster fire floating down a flooded street. You know that GIF? Yeah. Those are your options right now.
But I'm surprisingly optimistic about Drew, just because we haven't seen him really get the opportunity that he's deserved in Denver. And I'm excited to see what Pete can do.
So you think this is a Sam Darnold situation? It could go one or it could go the identical way that it did with Sam in Carolina, or it could go the exact opposite.
I think it's pretty much the same scenario. I mean, obviously different, Sam was drafted top 5. Drew was drafted in the 2nd round. But, I mean, it is the same exact pretty much situation. Bad start, their first team. Clean slate, their second team. But I hope it doesn't end up the same way as the Sam Darnold situation went. But, yeah, I think they'll be okay. As long as they beat the Cardinals in the first 6 weeks without DeAndre Hopkins, I think that's my goal. And if they beat the Broncos week 1, I'll take 2 wins, and those can be the 2 wins.
And then you can have the first pick.
I think people forget we have Russell Wilson v. Drew Lock week 1, just like we have Baker Mayfield versus Cleveland week 1. Speaking of Cleveland, Deshaun Watson finally has a sentence, in case you missed it, unless you live under a Patrick Starr's house. You likely saw it. 11-game suspension, $5 million fine. But we have questions, the 4 of us collectively. I have questions. Question number 1, and ownership has said this. By the way, ownership was just as confusing in their press conference with Deshaun yesterday as they were with their statements previously, if not more so. Deshaun again stated in his press conference that he is remorseful for his actions, but he maintains his innocence and that he has done nothing wrong. So here's my question. I'm not trying to break out a dictionary or anything here, but last I checked, to be remorseful of certain actions would mean that you had to be guilty of doing something, not necessarily legally guilty, but that you had to have done something immoral, right? You had to have done something that society would consider wrong. Again, you don't have to be criminally charged of anything to violate the personal conduct policy. You just have to make this look bad. And he has made this look, the shield, that is. He has made that look very, very bad.
That jersey looks pretty rough, too. But
well, it's $20 from China. Get over it. It's a lot better than paying $250 for the same thing when this looks as close as you can get. Look, I don't have Desmond Johnson money to afford a 1992 Game Worn Larry Johnson jersey.
If you were not watching on YouTube or Facebook, you just missed one of the greatest moments on the show.
One of the greatest single clips.
Shout out to my wife, actually. Shout out to Jennifer Johnson, because she hooked up the studio. It was just, if for those that usually watch this, usually it's just a pile of boxes and nonsense back there behind me. She got so fed up with the fact that she was like, that it just looks horrible back there behind you. And one night she just literally went through there like a whirlwind and just fixed it up. So
I can almost see the time-lapse montage with the Benny Hill music going of Jennifer just going hog wild.
She really did her thing. So, yeah.
Anyways, back to it. Again, by normal standard English language definition, if you're remorseful, that means you did something that was immoral. You would think. Now, again, he hasn't been convicted of anything. We don't know what truly happened because there has not to this point and likely never will be a criminal trial because all of those have been settled. However,
I was going to say, honestly, I think he is remorseful, but not for the act that he committed. I think he's remorseful that it came out. And that's when he says he's remorseful, that's what he's really meaning. Because that's the only way you could go back again and say,
well, see,
ruling that, well,
that's
innocent.
That's the thing. That's the thing. He's not remorseful that he did any of this.
He's remorseful he got caught.
He's remorseful he got caught. Exactly. He didn't want to get caught. That's not remorse.
Something else, too, people need to really think about here. Maybe Deshaun was going through something in that moment because all these masseuses that he had were all in like a 12-month period. This wasn't stretched out over his entire.
No, this was a very.
This was like during COVID. Like
this was a very manic episode.
And normally, if you have a masseuse, I've asked people to do this. If you get massages, typically you find one that likes, that you like, and they know your body, and you stay with that one masseuse. He was.
It's like finding the right therapist. You got to mesh with him.
So he clearly wasn't looking for a traditional massage with these women. So Stephen A said it on First Take earlier this morning. Obviously something happened, but we're not the jury. We're not the judge. We don't have tangible evidence. So we'll never know exactly what happened. We just know something happened. So because of that, you can't penalize him based off of the worst of what you think happened. And you can't penalize him off of the least amount of what you thought happened. And honestly, I think 11 games is more than enough for something where it wasn't criminally convicted. It's the largest suspension without, somebody dying or
gambling
or drugs or something to that effect.
Or betting on a game you didn't play in.
Yeah, or sports betting. I mean, this is the biggest suspension they've ever had in NFL. Plus the $5 million. I mean,
that's a hefty fine.
Yeah, I see.
That's one of the largest fines ever.
Not
for him, but
he just got like 200 some
for a player in general, though. In context, it is. It's the biggest fine a player.
It's the biggest fine a player's ever had. Period.
An owner or team, yeah, they've been fined. I think the Patriots have been fined that a couple of times.
But an individual player has never been fined that much money at one
time. And
he's
only getting $1 million this year anyway, and that's why, really, honestly, 11 games because he has to play 6 to qualify for a full season. Or he gets the $1 million starting next year, and it rolls that way. So that's why he's getting 11 games.
And also tell me why, if you watched the Cleveland Browns press conference, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, what a joke that was. Oh, my goodness. The general manager, Andrew Berry, the owner, the two owners. Said,
that's the only way I can react is that.
And the one, as soon as he said, we gave Kareem Hunt a second chance, they were 100% when he said that, it clicked. I was like, well, then you pretty much just admitted that Deshaun Watson did do something wrong.
Exactly.
He's saying the complete opposite in his press conference.
The things that the general manager and the ownership have said, husband and wife, have completely contradicted everything Deshaun Watson has said in his comments. Deshaun Watson has never openly admitted verbatim that he did anything. But he obviously
he doesn't think he did do anything.
He doesn't think that his behaviors may not be acceptable societally or legally, but he doesn't feel like what he did was necessarily wrong, criminally or morally.
Now, to be fair, Cleveland reminds me of a college student moving into a freshman dorm. Obviously, school's starting back right now. But Cleveland, this is the first time they've been in this situation with an all-star quarterback, with all eyes in the nation on them. And they just don't know how to react to the media, it sounds like.
They're not used to it. I mean, this is
exactly. It's just new territory.
I mean, they just haven't had to deal with something like this before. But in the end, guys, it really doesn't matter. The ruling is the ruling. He's he'll play week 12 or whatever at Houston, matter of fact, which is a bit of cruel.
And that's the other thing. And look, I didn't know that the money was the point of why it ended up being 11. I think we all knew when it ended up being 6 originally, they were going to have to meet somewhere in the middle. But in order for him to qualify, the NFL put it out to the minimum number of games he had to play to qualify for that amount of money.
For it to qualify as a full year. And
correct.
Once it qualifies as a full year, then he gets the $1 million base salary that the Browns put into the contract, knowing he was going to have to sit out some games. So this was a settlement. This was a settlement between Watson's party, the NFL Players Association, and the NFL itself. They got together. They got to the 11 games. If it was up to Deshaun Watson, he wouldn't sit out at all because again, he doesn't think he did anything.
He doesn't think he did anything wrong.
The 25, 26 accusers claim otherwise. So that's how they got to the 11.
If anything, the Cleveland Browns admitted some semblance of guilt from day one of this because they built this into the contract assuming he was going to get suspended, and then we hear all the comments that have come out that have contradicted everything Deshaun said. But the money's a good point because I was sitting here yesterday thinking, okay, that's got to be for ratings, right? That he's going to come back against the Texans. That's got to be on purpose. They could have easily made it 12. But when you throw the money into it, they could have been playing my Madden Ultimate Team, and they still would have thrown him out there, stopped it at 11 games. Just so he could make that minimum.
That's what that's how you get to the settlement. I mean, that's a settlement. Both sides are going to walk away thinking they didn't get all that they needed, and that's what happened. So, I mean, now basically they're going to play football. That's literally what's going to happen. And I see the NFL doesn't care about women and things of that sort. I've never caught the vibe that the NFL has women top of mind in the first place. So to judge them on something that I never expected them to do anyway is kind of odd. But in the end, we all knew who was going to play. We just didn't know how many. I think this is more than I expected, actually. I was fine with the 6, considering he hadn't been convicted for anything, even though we knew he did something. But 11, does that show as an example so for other people don't do the same thing? I don't know. I have no idea.
And look, we don't know if anybody ever will do the same thing because, as you said, and Stephen A. Smith made this point too, that was a 12-month period. And from what we understand, I mean, very well could have been a manic episode. There could be bipolar disorder, but there could be a lot of variables involved that Deshaun Watson is going to have to unpack when he goes through this counseling that's also part of this. Alex has got to head out because his phone's about to die. The Seattle Mariners, though, are not dying, Alex. So, well done. Good luck to you guys the rest of the way. So, yeah. Peace out, brother. Good to see you.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good one.
Michael, your Dallas Cowboys look, how do I say in polite terms?
Please be polite. I'm fragile right now.
That's the I don't know what to say about your team because I've seen clips on Twitter of things going very well in scrimmages, and then I've seen other clips on Twitter that looks like they just rolled out 5 actors on the offensive line. They're shooting a commercial.
I knew the moment that we traded Amari Cooper, but we retained Tyron Smith, and we drafted Tyler Smith, which doesn't make sense because Tyler Smith is basically just build. That's all he is, athletic potential. And everything I've heard from Tyler Smith is he has the potential to be this. He has the potential to be that. But when you look at him, he is one of the more penalized offensive linemen last year in college football. And what does this team struggle with?
Penalties.
And we saw that the first preseason game. What was it? 17 penalties? Is outrageous.
Honestly,
right now.
I lost track by the third quarter.
I mean, granted, it's preseason. Like, you can take it with a grain of salt. But the one thing that sticks out to me is if this team's not disciplined and we don't get this like under wraps before the regular season starts, it's going to be a long season, and we're going to lose 3 or 4 games just like we did last year on penalties alone. And that can make or break making this division. That can make or break getting in the playoffs. It's something that's got to be taken seriously. There's no excuse for all the penalties, especially pre-snap penalties.
When it comes to the Cowboys, this is the year Dak's got to take over. They're paying him $40+ million a year. You've lost some skill players. Your offensive line's not exactly the way it was when you first got there. This is all on you. Zeke Elliott's like 3 years past his prime. I don't know if CeeDee Lamb can handle being the number 1 receiver without having Cooper on the other side to take away some coverages. I don't know. It's an interesting year in Dallas because the NFC East, when we did the preview on Rundown a couple of weeks ago, we were all over the place. We didn't know who was going to win that division. Some picked Cowboys just on paper. Some were picking the Eagles. Some were even kind of looking at the Giants. But even that, it's like,
that's a stretch.
No. You know what I mean? So, like, if they're going to win the division this year, this would be a year to do it while the Eagles are still kind of putting their stuff together. But I think it's all on Dak and how Dak plays this year. That's how far the Cowboys can go.
It's amazing just what a year difference makes.
Yeah.
Because last year it was Dak. Zeke still had hope. You had Cooper, Gallup, Lamb. You had Dalton Schultz, an offensive line that was, credible. And now all of a sudden you get rid of Lyle Collins. Amari Cooper's traded. Zeke has one of the highest running back contracts in the league and just doesn't do anything with it. Sorry, Dad, if you're watching. Dad would ridicule me for half the things I'm saying right now. But this is I don't want to say it's a lost season, but it is going to rely heavily on Dak, much like it would rely heavily on Russell Wilson when he was with the Seahawks a lot of those years.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. One more thing before we move on to other things. Aaron Rodgers and his comments about his young receiving core, take that for what you will and what it was. If you missed the comments, it was these guys are running the wrong route sometimes. We got to do better. The guys that do good are going to be out there, and the guys that don't do good are not going to be out there. Aaron Jones was on the Rich Eisen show last month and said that Aaron does this a lot. Whether it's with young guys. He will openly call them out, and then the next day, they'll go out there and play their tail off and have the best practice they've ever had in a Packers uniform, which is exactly what happened to Romeo Doubs and the other three young receivers. Christian Watson's not even fully 11 on 11 yet, coming off summer knee surgery, and he had what the coaching staff and Aaron Rodgers called his best practice yet. Aaron Rodgers, when he says things like that, we know how funky he is with words. We know how calculated he is with his sentences. Maybe it's the Peruvian tea. I don't know. But he knows what he's doing when he says things like this. Everyone in the locker room knows what he's doing when he says things like this. It's purposeful because the media is going to talk about it. People like us are going to talk about it. They're going to write about it in the papers. Rob Domofsky is going to be on ESPN or SportsCenter at 6:03 of a 6 o'clock SportsCenter because it's the lead story. Aaron Rodgers knows exactly what he's doing because he knows that however he chooses his words, it's going to be construed one way or another. But when he's talking about young guys, young teammates, he needs to step up. They're all going to hear that noise, and he knows that. And they feel like they have to step up, or Aaron Rodgers might vouch to cut them himself. Am I wrong here?
Aaron Rodgers is nobody to throw to. Like literally, that's the main storyline that I see whenever we're talking about Green Bay. Like, who's he throwing to? Like, you're a Green Bay fan. Who are the wide receivers for the Green Bay Packers this year? Who are going to be the two wide receivers?
You've got Lazard, you've got Cobb, and you've got Sammy Watkins.
Do you feel good about any of that?
I think Alan Lazard has very strong potential to be a number one receiver. He said that he's strived towards that his entire career. He basically assumed the role of number two behind Davante Adams. Randall Cobb knows his role. Sammy Watkins is going to be what Devin Funchess was supposed to be, but couldn't be healthy enough to do. I think Sammy Watkins is reliable. But is those are only... I think with Aaron Rodgers throwing in the ball, yeah.
Is he reliable to stay healthy?
That's the question. And that was the question with Devin Funchess that was answered as in the answer was no. But you look at these young guys. Romeo Doubs has had a great camp so far. He had a great preseason game. Caught the most accurate pass I think I've ever seen Jordan Love throw, which is not many. Christian Watson has not even fully practiced yet. We don't know what he's going to bring. He might not even play in the preseason. So they're going to have to work even harder with him in practice once he gets to 11 on 11 type stuff to get him up to speed. But right now I'm looking at Doubs, and I'm looking at, you still have Aaron Jones to use out of the backfield if you want to. You have Juwan Winfrey, who's been in the system for 2 or 3 years, who could be a pretty good. And people forget Amari Rodgers is still there, out of Clemson, the second-round pick in 2021. That guy was an absolute stud at Clemson. He carved up everybody in our viewing area pretty much as a slot receiver. Green Bay thinks he can be the next Randall Cobb. They haven't gotten a chance to really use him yet. and they plan to use him a lot more, especially in the return game. So we don't know these names now, and this is only because I'm like super optimistic. We don't know these names now, but did we know Jordy Nelson that well? Did we know Greg Jennings that well? Did we know James Jones that well?
No, we didn't. But the thing that I think people have been saying about Aaron Rodgers and those receivers, Donald Driver and all those guys, he didn't really like throwing to them as rookies. It wasn't until their 4th or 5th season when they broke out. So the question is, are there any of those wide receivers on the Packers right now that could potentially break out? And I don't know if there is. Like,
I'm seeing things from Romeo Doubs that I haven't seen from a Packer receiver since Devontae Adams in terms of how he gets off the line, how quick he can be off the line. He's got great hands, despite what Aaron Rodgers might have said. I see a lot of Devontae Adams, and I'm not comparing by any stretch of the imagination. But
those are big shoes to fill.
I think Romeo Doubs has an opportunity to be a true number 3 or number 4. Now, you still need that number 5 guy. I think Amari Rodgers is that guy, and I think Jawan Winfrey might be the odd man out. All right, we've gone long. Let's get in the break here. When we come back, we'll dive into the association a little bit. Michael, help us break down the just-released NBA schedule and the fact that the Los Angeles Lakers have now basically sold their soul to LeBron James for the next 3 years. We'll come back after this.
You are listening to The Score with Brett Wiseman on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
Welcome to the Triad's best kept secret, Tucker's Grill, located on the corner of Highway 66 and High Point Road at 4110 North Main Street in High Point. Open 6:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. Voted some of the best burgers in the Triad, Tucker's Grill also offers breakfast plates, breakfast sandwiches, hot dogs, lunch sandwiches, and homemade soup during the winter months. Visit Tucker's Grill for lunch today, 4110 North Main Street in High Point.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Kuhn-Godfrey.
Hi, I'm Deanna Kaplan.
Hi, I am Richard Watts.
The common sense choice for Winston-Salem Forsyth County School Board.
It would be our honor to serve you.
Make your voice heard by voting for Deanna,
Richard,
Sabrina,
and Common Sense. We need your support.
Early voting starts October 20th. Paid for by Sabrina Kuhn-Godfrey for BOE, Deanna Kaplan for School Board, Richard Watts at Large School Board.
It's game time. Brother Cluckers has you covered. Check out the Clucking Football Feeding Frenzy for $5 deal. 25 fried chicken tenders, 2 jumbo sides, and 1 gallon of sweet or unsweetened tea for only $39.99. Special only valid via online ordering. Just visit brother-cluckers.com to place your order and enjoy the games. Brother Cluckers, located in front of the Food Lion Shopping Center at 1547 Union Cross Road in Kernersville. Brother Cluckers. Find your next car at Auto Store of North Carolina in Walkertown. Their goal is to make car shopping and car buying experience fast, friendly, and easy. They have helped hundreds of customers get behind the wheel of a newer, reliable, quality used car, and they could help you too. Stop by and speak with one of their sales professionals today and drive away with your new car. The Auto Store of North Carolina, 4964 Reedsville Road in Walkertown. Give them a call at 336-595-8550 and view the current inventory of vehicles at autostoreofnc.com.
It's the high school football game of the week.
Listen, man, tonight is the night to make the name for yourself.
Not one, but 2 of the best games in the Triad every Friday.
All comes down to today.
Catch the action on WTOB 980 AM and 96.7 FM. Or tune in to our second game on WCOG 1320 AM. Both games powered by TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, your home for Triad Sports. Welcome back to The Score with Brett Wiseman here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
We're back here on The Score with Brett Wiseman on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Brett Wiseman, our producer Desmond Johnson, host of The Rundown, which I'll be on both hours of tomorrow morning. Incredibly excited for that. I just have to remember to set my alarm this time.
Please do.
What?
Please do.
Please.
The triad's depending on you. Please do, Brett. Make sure you set.
Oh, that's the entire triad. Oh no.
You can take a nap all day Saturday. Like we got stuff to do. We got AFC, NFC South predictions coming up tomorrow. Exclusive interview with North Carolina A&T head football coach Sam Washington on deck. We'll recap everything from tonight and yesterday, high school football in the triad. We'll talk about the Deshaun Watson situation and more. So rundown with Desmond Johnson, 10 a.m. to 12 noon on WWBG, 1470 a.m. in the triad, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com online, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook Live, LinkedIn. We're all over the place. So
everywhere.
So,
You know where else what else is everywhere? Michael Davis's new show, Out of Pocket, which is coming up right after us. So fun times on the Tobacco Road Sports Radio Ranch, is I guess is what we'll call it. Michael, since you and Desmond know a lot more about the NBA than I do, because that time of year I tend to pay a little bit more attention to hockey. The schedule came out, but that wasn't the biggest story of the last couple days. The biggest story of the last 48 hours is that an over-the-hill LeBron James just got $93 million basically to assure that he'll play one season with his son and then retire. Is that a fair assessment?
Whoa.
Are you assuming he gets to the NBA?
I was going to say, first of all, he's not over the hill. Like, dude averaged 28 points per game last year. Like, he almost averaged triple-double. He ain't over the hill. He probably won't be next year either. So I gotta back away from the table on that. He's not. He's older. He's 38, but he's not over the hill.
I mean, here's the question: are you, as the Los Angeles Lakers, now that you have committed almost triple-digit $1 million to this guy, do you honestly think that with a 38-year-old LeBron James and a Anthony Davis that can't play more than 40 games, and a Russell Westbrook that that can stay healthy but also not play well for more than 40 games, do you think that the pieces that you have behind LeBron James, now that you really can't afford to go get anyone else, that you're going to beat the Splash Brothers, that you're going to beat Luka and the Mavericks now that they have a big man, that you're even going to beat the Clippers at this point?
I mean, it's possible, but I don't know. It depends on what they do with Westbrook. They have to get rid of Westbrook because he just didn't fit with what they were doing. Now, granted, Anthony Davis wasn't available for over half the year, and that affected them. If he was available, they would have been in the playoffs, and this conversation probably wouldn't have been happening. They wouldn't have been they'd probably been a 4 or 5 seed or something in the West last year. But they need to run the offense through Anthony Davis. That makes the most sense. He's the youngest. He's the most talented guy. That's why you brought him there. He's supposed to be this Lakers center, in the vein of Wilt Chamberlain and Shaq and Kareem and all these guys. Run it through him. LeBron should have no problems running that through Anthony Davis. That's why he wanted him there, so he wouldn't have to carry the load himself. Westbrook is the situation, though, and I don't know if they can trade him. I don't know if Westbrook can adapt to what the new coach is going to want to do. But in terms of re-signing LeBron, I don't think the Lakers really had much of a choice. I mean, it'd been one thing if he was 38 and he was putting in 15 points per game and just kind of, just out there. He's still a first-team All-Pro NBA player. Like, I mean, you don't just let those guys walk, and that's why he came to L.A. So, I mean, to be honest, he's underpaid, even with this extension. If you think about the amount of money he brings to the Laker organization and the league itself, he's severely. There's only 5 guys really. They're severely underpaid in the NBA, even though they're making $40+ million a year. LeBron, Steph Curry, Giannis, KD, and probably Jokic. Those are the 5 that are under. Now, Jokic, you could probably make an argument that he's about paid correctly now because he got that Supermax extension. But those
I would say
4,
so.
Especially LeBron, Steph, and KD. LeBron and Steph in particular. They are the drivers of your league, and they're making, mid 40s per year, but you could make an argument that they should be making 80, like each, for the amount of money they bring in.
There is a salary cap in the NBA.
There is. It's a soft cap, kind of. There's ways around it, but yeah, there's a cap.
There's your answer. Who do you get to help LeBron if you can't move Westbrook because nobody wants him?
I mean, you'll have to. Now, that's a different argument, though, because I didn't agree with how the Lakers were building the roster when LeBron got there. Like, in terms of, I felt like LeBron should have learned to play with the parts they had when he came in as a free agent. Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball. Like, they were fourth in the Western Conference playing with that group when LeBron first got there that first year, and then he got hurt. And then by the time he came back, they finally traded all that off for Anthony Davis. They won a ring out of it, but I think LeBron could have got 2 or 3 more rings if he had just stuck with that young group and got to this point now. If he had known he was going to be playing like this at 38 and have Lonzo Ball at point and Brandon Ingram at small forward or at power forward or whatever, and these young guys that could carry the weight, he could have did this without Anthony Davis. They wouldn't have.
If I'm not mistaken, though, didn't he not push to get Anthony Davis, number one? Number two, did both of those guys not push for Russell Westbrook?
Yeah, that's
so
what I'm saying.
They've assembled this. This is their own fault, is it not?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't agree with how they built the team. Like LeBron,
right?
Like, I can build this the way I built it in Miami, the way I built it when I came back to Cleveland, where I get 2 all-star guys with me, and we just
and then role players,
shooters, and we'll play that way, and we'll win. And the league has changed since from when he was in Miami to now. The league has changed so that you can't
even since Cleveland in 2016, the league has evolved.
Golden State kind of showed you what I'm saying. He could have did what Golden State just did last year if he had kept or convinced them to keep Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball. Who am I missing? The kid, Kyle Kuzma. You know what I'm saying? Like all those parts that were there. Now, Rondo could have came in as a free agent, gave him that experience at point. They would have been just fine. But LeBron wanted a quick title. And to get that, he wanted Anthony Davis. They got it. But now at what cost? Because I don't know if he'll see it NBA Finals again.
He won't. And
no, I don't think he will. That's the point, Michael. Salary cap or not, I don't think they can win with the way this roster is constructed right now. And they're stuck with Russell Westbrook.
Nobody really wants to take on Westbrook's last year. That it's like $40-something million.
Exactly. So if you've commanded this much money to LeBron and you're still paying Russell Westbrook that much and can't offload it, you can't go out and get him any other help.
You know, something funny too, because the Nets were the ones that were being connected the most to maybe taking on Westbrook in exchange for Kyrie Irving. Isn't it weird how like these same 5 players are kind of like attached at the hip to each other? LeBron,
right.
KD, Steph, Westbrook, Irving, where Kevin Durant's a whole different segment right now in terms of him saying, well, it'd be pretty nice if I was in Philadelphia. That's a good fit. Or I'd like to go to Miami or maybe Phoenix. Yeah, you'd like to go to the top teams in the league on both sides. Like, okay, we get it, KD. You want to go to some place where you just go right in there and win another ring like you did in Golden State.
Exactly.
Golden State. That's why he'll never be in my top 10. Like, he's literally shortcutting even more than what LeBron did. At least LeBron built a team and then went to go win it. KD just wants to parachute into an already proven team, get all the accolades, and be done.
And then leave.
Yeah, and it's like, man, forget that. So the best karma would be to send Westbrook to Brooklyn for him to play with Durant, and then for Brooklyn not to trade Durant, to refuse to trade him. Because
that would be so funny.
Because people forget Brooklyn paid Kevin Durant $30-something million to sit for a year while he rehabbed that torn Achilles or whatever it was that he had, and now he wants to be like, I don't want to play in Brooklyn anymore, bro. We just paid you $35 million to do nothing, like to rehab, and you're just gonna turn your back on us like this? Like, if I'm Joe Tsai, I'm not trading him for anybody.
That's why when you said that KD was underpaid, I'm like, really? What has he done the last 2-3 years?
I mean, he's still a top 10 player in the league right now. Well, really, you say top 5. Yeah, I think he could be top. I mean, the 5 guys I mentioned are probably the top 5 players in the league: LeBron, Steph, Giannis.
KD's at the bottom of my
Luka.
He's at the bottom of my top 10. He's like 9th or 10th right now on that list for me.
I don't know, because after I go through those 5, it's hard for me to put somebody like, I can't put Jason Tatum above Kevin Durant. Like, not yet. I can't put.
What more do you need to see from
I can't put Luka over Kevin Durant. Not yet.
I can put Luka over Kevin Durant in a heartbeat right now.
Luka's won one playoff series? Durant's been to 3 NBA finals. He's a 2-time NBA MVP.
Look at the Mavs.
Here's the question. What's the criteria here? Is it purely most talented players in the league? If that's what we're saying, then Kevin Durant's at the bottom of the top 10.
No, I would say, most talented current players in the league. If you went around the league and asked teams who would you want to have right now, in order, I think Kevin Durant would probably be around number 5.
I think Kevin Durant would be around 8 or 9. I think guys like John Morant and Devin Booker would be ahead of Kevin Durant on said list at this point.
I would pause a bit on the Ja one. I would definitely take Durant over Devin Booker, just size wise and range. Like I would take that any day of the week. Now, Ja's interesting. His size would make me maybe lean towards Durant a little bit. Ja Morant is just Derrick Rose 2.0. Like that's
exactly what he is.
And I'm afraid that same situation is going to happen. He's so violent with the way he jumps and everything else. I'm more worried about him hurting himself down the road. But Durant. And I don't even like Kevin Durant. I'm on record. I do not like Kevin Durant as a person. Like I've not agreed with anything he's really done in his career. But I can't deny the basketball talent. Like he's a top 5 guy as it stands right now, which is remarkable because most people don't come back from that injury and play like this. So I got to add that factor in too.
So let's move on before we continue to argue with ourselves the rest of the show. The schedule came out. The Grizzlies are now team 29 to play on Christmas. The Charlotte Hornets are now the only team in the NBA to have never played on Christmas. Hopefully that will change sometime soon. But the playoff matchup between the Grizzlies and the Warriors, as good as that was, obviously prompted the two to play on Christmas Day as part of that slate. So, heck, that might be the game of Christmas Day. If not, it's going to be Lakers-Clippers, which is Davis LeBron versus Kawhi PG for the first time since the pandemic season.
If healthy.
If healthy.
Yeah, which I imagine by now it'd be a full year at that point where Kawhi should be back. But that'll be a good one. I was thinking about this when I saw the schedule come out. Who are the Hornets' biggest rival?
Well, they don't really have a rival.
That's what I'm saying. Like, who would it be? Like,
I've said that for years.
The
Hornets don't have the Hornets have a regional territorial rivalry. That doesn't stretch to on the court, though. Their rivalry is just that teams are close to them.
Yeah.
Their rivalry is that Atlanta is not that far south, or that Orlando is not that far south, or that Washington is not that far north. That's proximity.
Who should it be? Or who would you want it to be?
I would, especially after the play-in game last year, I would want it to be Atlanta.
That would make the most sense. You know, aren't they in the same division?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that would make,
and especially after you got flat out embarrassed on national television in their arena, and basically got serenaded by their fans, and your now embattled small forward had his first of what would be 2 bad looks going into the offseason, which was hitting a fan with a mouthpiece on his way down the tunnel.
Oh, yeah.
That night was a disaster for the franchise, period.
I'm curious.
Image-wise, on the court-wise, everything.
We still haven't heard what exactly is going to happen from the Miles Bridges situation because they never pulled the offer. They never pulled the qualifying offer off the table. So it's still there. No team ever.
Well, they can't because they missed the deadline to pull it.
But I don't think they wanted to. To pull it.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's still kind of in limbo. I don't know if the Hornets think they can kind of just wait this out. And by the time the season comes around, maybe they can circle back around and do something with Miles and sign him.
Well, see, this is different than the Deshaun Watson thing because this is a criminal trial.
Right.
So this is going to drag out a lot longer than Deshaun Watson's situation did.
Right. Now, until then, though, he's still able to play, if I'm not mistaken, unlike the NFL where they can put you on basically in a timeout until your stuff's resolved. And the NBA, you can play until it's done. So I don't know what Charlotte's planning on doing with Miles.
So, but here's the question. If he hasn't signed the qualifying offer, he can't play, can he?
Technically, no. But if he I mean, there's nothing stopping him from signing it. He could sign it today if he wanted to. I mean,
so there's 2 ways to look at that, right? I think he wanted to go to free agency regardless of whether any of this came to light or not. I think he wanted to at least test the waters. That's why he turned down the max deal, because he wanted to test free agency.
Well, I mean, it was his worth was more than the deal they offered.
Right.
I think it was like $25 million or something.
He wanted to test the market and see who would offer him how much he thought he was worth.
And Charlotte would have matched it. Like, I feel like Charlotte would have matched whatever he got out in the open market. He just screwed it all up in one night in LA. So, I mean,
right.
I don't know what he's going to do with that. Regarding what you were saying earlier with Charlotte being the only team not to play on Christmas Day, kind of got to have a reason to want them there. I mean,
there isn't one right now other than LaMelo.
I mean, they haven't. They need to. This year will be interesting to see if they can leap over the low expectations of the media. I'm very upset with Bally's right now because they announced yesterday that basically they're starting Bally's Plus or whatever.
Bally's Sports Plus, yes.
Yeah, so if you want to watch the Hurricanes or the Hornets, you're gonna have to buy this. It's like $20 a month. I don't have a single bundle that costs $20 a month, including HBO Max. I think it's $14.99. And
Amazon Prime doesn't even cost that much.
No, so I mean, it's like I'm just like $20. Like, that's ridiculous. So I am working on something, Triad, that might be a solution to that. To be able to access Hornets.
Do tell.
So I can't at the moment, but
that was a tease.
It'll be coming soon. There's a reason why I'm wearing Hornets like colors today. So
that's power of radio right there. That's
yeah,
is this Tampa Bay creamsicle? Or?
Yeah,
I don't know.
That was like the color of Stephen A. Smith's suit that he was on that boat a couple of days ago on First Take. Where
all right, mind me while I change.
Yeah,
Molly almost got seasick on air. Like,
that was hilarious, by the way.
She just stopped
if no one has seen that clip, you could see the wheels turning in Molly's head. She was about to hurl.
Yeah, I literally tweeted out as it was going on. I'm like, am I watching Molly Querim about to get seasick on live television? She was talking, she's doing her Molly thing, and then all of a sudden you just kind of see her like she's just sitting there. You know how you look when you're about to get sick. Like, she didn't want to look at anything. She didn't she just
the worst feeling in the world is being nauseous and on the verge of throwing up, and then the only feeling worse is actually throwing up.
Yeah,
because you have that portion before you throw up where you stop, you freeze. You don't look this way or that way. You look down and you just stop moving completely because you're afraid if you move, you're going to throw up. That was Molly for a solid 5-10 minutes on that boat. She stood there
she got it together before the break and went to the break. And then she was fine the rest of the thing out there. But yeah, that was pretty funny a couple days ago.
It's making me squirm just thinking about it.
Oh goodness, it's making you Molly squirm.
I'm queasy now.
Feeling a little quirmy there.
Quirmy. Might be because of the top of the hour too.
Why are you squirrely about your show, my guy?
Dude, my phone is blowing up.
That's because you're a loved person and everyone is excited to hear you talk more than me.
Your show's fire right now. You're live on Facebook. You're live on YouTube.
Your show's going to be good. Really good.
Oh, we did it. It's going to be fine. It's going to be just fine. I'm not worried about either one of these shows right now. It'll be fine. Fridays are going to be pretty loaded on Tobacco Road for the fall. You're going to have, once we get the times and stuff situated, I don't know, I guess we can go ahead and announce it now, Brett, that the score is going to go to 2 episodes a week. Due to football season, we realized we didn't have anything in the beginning of the week that we could really recap other than Larry's Frankly Speaking Sports, but that's not until I think Wednesday is when it first starts airing. Tuesday when it first airing with me. So Brett's going to start doing an hour of the score earlier in the week. I think Mondays we were talking about.
I think it was Monday or Tuesday, yeah.
And you'll still be on Fridays in the Friday block. Monday he'll get a chance to go through college football results, NFL. Any other events that happen over the weekend, so it's still fresh on Mondays. And then on Fridays, it'll become more of a preview show where you can preview college football, preview the NFL.
We're basically going to a review format.
Pretty much. And that's,
for lack of better phrasing.
And that'll help more so in terms of the Triad and being able to get you guys what you want, like the high school football stuff and things of that stuff. So we'll be able to cover a lot more of it that way. And I think we're going to start doing that. Is that next week? Are we starting
next week? I think that's what we said. Yeah.
So we may have
this Monday.
Yeah, we may have something this Monday. We'll probably wait until
we may wait until
college football
starts.
We
might wait until week 0 gets through.
Yeah.
So we can have some Carolina discussion.
So
since we
late August, early September, it'll flip to that format, and then of course you'll have out of pocket at 4, franchise players at 5. Usually we repeat a coach's show at 6, and then high school football games of the week at 7. And we've got the biggest games in the Triad every week, at least 2 live games every week. Some weeks we have 3, some weeks we have more than that. So just stay with us throughout the fall. We're your home for Triad Sports.
Yeah, stop right there because we're going to get in the final break here. And when we come back, we do have some high school football to discuss. We've got some results that are already in the books from games that got moved to last night due to weather. And we've got a lot of non-conference action coming up tonight, including where I'm headed right after this, under the water tower. Terry Sanford and Glenn. Let's go. High school football. We're going to talk about it. Dez is going to talk about it. Michael might not because he doesn't live where we do. Anyways, we'll be back after this.
Thank you.
You are listening to The Score with Brett Wiseman on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. It's the high school football game of the week.
Listen, man. Tonight is the night to make a name for yourself.
Not one, but 2 of the best games in the Triad every Friday.
All comes down to today.
Catch the action on WTOB 980 AM and 96.7 FM. Or tune in to our second game on WCOG 1320 AM. Both games powered by TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, your home for Triad Sports. We love sports.
Joe Louis, the greatest boxer ever lived.
Not only do we love sports, but we love to debate sports.
He was bad in Captain Clay. He bad in Sugar Ray. He bad in that. Who that? The new boy got Mike Tyson. Look like a bulldog. He bad in him too. He done whipped Mike Tyson ass. He whipped all their ass.
For the best sports analysis in the Triad.
What about Rocky Marciano?
In-depth local coverage of your favorite schools and teams.
Let me tell you something. One fall, Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
And of course, the best sports debate in the Triad.
Beat Joe Louis's ass.
Welcome to Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
You're welcome.
I don't know how old he was, but got an ass whipped.
Looking to tailgate this summer? Stop by One Stop on the Way. One Stop number 6, located just 1 mile west of East Forsyth at 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville. One Stop serves fresh fried chicken and our famous taters 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Feeding a crowd? Get 16 pieces of chicken and sides for just $27.99. Craving wings? Come try our new spicy breaded wings. Get a 5-wing meal with 6 taters and a roll for just $7.39. Now in regular hot ranch or spicy. One Stop number 6, 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville. Find your next car at Auto Store of North Carolina in Walkertown. Their goal is to make car shopping and car buying experience fast, friendly, and easy. They have helped hundreds of customers get behind the wheel of a newer, reliable, quality used car, and they could help you too. Stop by and speak with one of their sales professionals today and drive away with your new car. The Auto Store of North Carolina, 4964 Reedsville Road in Walkertown. Give them a call at 336-595-8550 and view the current inventory of vehicles at autostoreofnc.com.
Mossy's Eats, Ales, and Spirits in Clemens is a unique family-friendly sports restaurant with an awesome bar and fresh menu that keeps guests coming back for more. Try the pizzas, buffalo bites, and wings, sandwiches, burgers that make your mouth water, made in-house, plus 23 taps and a variety of craft beers. Have a cocktail and relax at Mossy's. Plus, with 33 HD TVs and all the sports packages around, you can watch pretty much any game you can imagine at Mossy's. Plus, a year-round outdoor patio, fun atmosphere, great food. What more can you ask for? Mossy's Eats, Ale, and Spirits, 6235 Town Center Drive in Clemens. Visit our website at mossy'sclemens.com.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Kuhn Godfrey.
Hi, I'm Deanna Kaplan.
Hi, I am Richard Watts.
The common sense choice for Winston-Salem Forsyth County School Board.
It would be our honor to serve you.
Make your voice heard by voting for Deanna,
Richard,
Sabrina,
and Common Sense. We need your support.
Early voting starts October 20th. Paid for by Sabrina Kuhn Godfrey for BOE, Deanna Kaplan for School Board, Richard Watts at Large School Board.
Welcome back to The Score with Brett Wiseman here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
We're back here on The Score with Brett Wiseman on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Brett Wiseman, producer Desmond Johnson. The two of us will be headed out to K Vegas here in a matter of about 90 minutes to a couple hours or so. It's looking sunny out right now. Time will tell if it stays that way come tonight, but it's not looking like it will.
I've been watching the weather all day. It's a 50% chance of scattered showers. So I spoke to both Glenn and East Forsyth, and they were just like, "No, why would we move it? It's rain." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's football. Like, I think they want to play in the rain actually week 1. So if it rains, doesn't rain, this boulder's still going downhill today, baby.
Absolutely. And look, we got both sides of Kernersville covered tonight, do we not?
We do. WCOG, the Guilford County game of the week. Northwest Guilford travels to K Vegas to take on top-ranked East Forsyth. That's a 7 p.m. kickoff. Myself and Rod Funderburk at the Nest. On the WTOB game of the week, Forsyth County, you will have Glenn versus Terry Sanford.
Correct.
Brett Wiseman, JP Mundy on the call. That's also a 7 p.m. kickoff. Franchise Players actually precedes both of those on TOB and COG. So definitely listen to that. Actually, it'll be on here online in the next 10 minutes. Well, actually, no, it comes on at 5.
We got 5.
Yeah.
Yep.
At 5 o'clock, Joe Serrera is with Franchise Players every week, third segment, giving his top 3 high school football games of the week. Love having Joe from the News and Record and Winston-Salem Journal on with us. So expect the best. You know, we say this all the time that we're your home for Triad Sports. This is not just talk. Like, this is legit. No. This is what we do. This is what we do here. So just glad that we're able to do this. This is year 3, I believe now, of us going into it.
Year 3.
Just happy with the staff and everyone that's pitched in and everything that's going on. It's going to be a big year. It's going to be a big year. It's going
to be the biggest season yet for us in high school football. And it's a big year for a lot of programs around the area, Des. We had Reagan, pretty good game last night that they moved up. Hosting North Davidson last night, tied 24-24 going deep into the fourth quarter. Reagan able to pull that one out, 31-24 win for them. But it's not just the Raiders nor the Black Knights. If you look at whether it's our top 10 or the Winston-Salem Journal top 10, there's a lot of the same names in there. You look at the Winston-Salem Journal top 10, Des, 7 of the 10 teams in that ranking, all from the Central Piedmont Conference.
Yeah, the SEC Triad is what we've begun calling it in terms of one of the toughest divisions, not in the Triad, but the entire state of North Carolina. I believe they sent 5 teams to the playoffs last year. East Forsyth got to the Western Regional semifinal round against Cornelius Huff, who at the time was the number 1 ranked team in the state. Last year, the Western semifinal regional had Weddington, Huff, Julius Chambers, East Forsyth, and at the time they were the top 4 teams in the entire state of North Carolina, all in the Western semifinal region round. So you would have had to play 2 of those teams just to get to the state championship, and then you would have had Cardinal Gibbons waiting on you when you got there. So it's loaded in the West. The preseason top 10 from SportsCarolinaMonthly.com and Tobacco Road Sports Radio that I have here that came out on WTOB Sports Minute earlier today.
We voted on.
That we did vote on. East Forsyth ran at number 1. Dudley is number 2, the defending 3A state champs, and it looks like they might have a chance to repeat out there. Reedsville, number 3. Reedsville basically does Reedsville things. We're thinking they're probably going to see Shelby again before all this is said and done to see if they can get to another state championship in Titletown out there. Grimsley comes in at 4th. Reagan at 5th. West Forsyth 6th. Northern Guilford 7th. Page 8th. Northwest Guilford 9th. And Glenn comes in at number 10 this week. We may open it up to a fan poll going forward each week where
that would be fun.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
And plus, if I'm not mistaken, I haven't talked to him yet. I believe he said we were. Last year, we were doing a Player of the Week award through the Carolina Cobras, and head coach Josh Resignalo. I believe we're still doing that. I'll check on that. If we do, we'll be contacting that player in school early in the week next week to give that kid their award and their just due. So,
and speaking of Coach Rez, he's going to be a focal point of some of these broadcasts.
Yeah, he'll be on the COG broadcast with JP Mundy starting next week. He'll join him. Coach James Willamy will join you, Brett. Of course, you're the voice of the Bobcats with Glenn Sports Network.
Rawr.
Some of their games are on the TOB side this season too, so you'll be pulling double duty there, getting it on WTOB 980 AM, 96.7 FM, and TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. So we've added on 2 coaches that know what they're talking about. Coach Rez just led his team to the NAL championship round where they lost to the Albany Empire. I know he's chomping at the bit to go, so should be fun. It should be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a whale of a time, and it all gets started tonight. Can't wait to be out there with JP Mundy. Kickoff at 7 tonight, so no pregame show for us. 30-minute earlier kickoff because Terry Sanford coming down from Fayetteville. Daz, if you remember, this is a game that was scheduled not once but twice last year. Terry Sanford had to bow out due to positive COVID tests. Hopefully not an issue tonight unless something very, very unforeseen happens on their way in from Fayetteville.
From my understanding, it's almost kind of like the way the NFL and really most of these sports leagues are doing it now, where it's almost like a don't ask, don't tell type deal, where unless you're showing obvious symptoms, you're not going to get tested. So it's not that we have kind of rounded a hurdle in terms of COVID and everything else. This feels like the first regular preseason since 2019, to be honest.
Right, right.
So I'm looking forward to it. I've been doing coaches shows all week. I've been in Clemens doing the West Forsyth stuff, the Glenn stuff, of course, the Nest with East Forsyth, the home team.
Hey, deep water at Clark's Barbecue. Shout out to everybody that came out to Clark's Barbecue Wednesday night. Great crowd for our first show. And I don't know if
that'll replay at 6:00 tonight before the 7:00 kickoff. So if you missed Deepwater earlier this week on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, you can hear that at 6:00 with Coach Stevenson.
And that was great conversation with him, athletic director Joe McCormick, and first year principal Scott Muncie. All three have done a fantastic job in their own respective rights. And Antoine Stevenson's looking to get the crew to 1-0. But Des, real quickly, that's a Glenn team that's there's a reason they're not as high in our top 10 at the start of this year as they were last year, and that's because they lost a lot of really good kids, specifically Camden Coleman at quarterback and the anchor of that defense last year, Albert Red. But when we talked to Antoine, he didn't sound too concerned about his young quarterback. He sounded very confident in his offensive line, in his run game, and in his defense to carry the load this year.
Yeah, I think they're going to get back to more of an old school. I'm old school. Stop the run, run the ball. I feel like no matter what level of football it is, from Pop Warner to NFL, if your team can do that, you're going to do some things. It's the reason why West Forsyth rattles off 8-win seasons pretty much every year, because they can run the ball and they can stop the run. Glenn, I think they're going to do the same thing. They're going to lean on that defense, the defensive mentality that Coach Stevenson has instilled into this program. They'll run the ball by committee. They're going to lean on their offensive line, defensive line to kind of be the base of their team going forward until they settle into the quarterback that they want, and they'll go from there. But Glenn's always a tough out, so I'm not expecting too much of a drop-off from them, if at all. They will miss Camden Coleman because he was a great quarterback that could throw the ball. They're missing some skill receivers. And they will miss Albert Red, who was Mr. All-Everything on defense last year for them as well, who's now playing at I'm not saying he's at Central. He went to North Carolina Central. So Glenn, they'll be okay. I'm not worried about Glenn. They'll be fine.
How about East Forsyth?
Loaded. If I had to pick one word to describe East Forsyth this year, it's loaded. The 2020 or the 2021 spring season that was supposed to be the 2020 regular season, they got pushed
COVID
out.
season.
That season, when we look back on this 2022 season in December, we're going to go all the way back to that spring 2021 season and see why I'm saying this now. That was the catalyst for what this East Forsyth team could be this year. They have 25 seniors on a roster of about 50-some kids. Almost half the roster is seniors. Most of those seniors had to go through that spring season in 2021. So you've got a bunch of 3-year starters. You've got Division I talent all over the place. Jalen Rayner's already committed to Arkansas State. Quayshawn Brown, who was, I'm sure I'm going to mention his name multiple times tonight, 3-star wide receiver. He's already committed to Duke. Javante Connor, who transferred in from Alabama. We were at the Nest doing the show, and he walked in to eat. He's 6'4", like 245. Like, he looks like LeBron James at age 18 in terms of size. He's the tight end. So if you wanted to double Q, that's cool. They'll just throw it to Javante over on the other side. You pick your poison, who they call Baby Gronk over at East Forsyth. He's kind of built that same way.
You get that moniker, you got something to say.
Yeah, the defense is solid. R.J. Brown, all-state player, middle linebacker. Nick Martin had 25 sacks last year. He's back. They're just loaded all across the board. The only team that's going to really get in East Forsyth's way is East Forsyth, in my opinion, this year. If they can stay level-headed and go week to week, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, I'm expecting East to have a deep run past Thanksgiving this year out of the Triad.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think when you look at the best two teams in the area, look, Reagan and West are really, really good. But I think this year, just as it has in recent years, it's going to come down to the battle of K Vegas and East Forsyth and Glen as to.
Man. Last year, the regular season East Glen game last year, triple overtime classic at the Nest, probably the best game we've broadcasted in the 3 years we've been doing this. And then they met again, third round of the playoffs, and it wasn't as a high scoring affair, but it more than lived up to the hype. So
absolutely,
both those schools are just doing their thing, man. They're doing their thing.
Ton of fun. It all kicks off in about 3 hours from now. But Michael Davis and Out of Pocket is coming up next, then Franchise Players, then Deep Water, and then kickoff of your chosen game, whether it's Northwest Guilford and East Forsyth or Glenn and Terry Sanford. For Desmond Johnson, our producer, our special guest, North Carolina Sports Radio legend David Glenn, Christian Emery, Alex Wober, and Michael Davis for joining the panel. Brett Wiseman saying so long and happy High School Football Friday, #1 in the Triad.